Hey guys, welcome back to Choosing Recovery. I am Olivia and I just feel the need to share this message because I just have a feeling that someone needs to hear it. I started with painkillers and then I went to using heroin. I went from smoking heroin to shooting heroin within a week of just started to use heroin. My mind was telling me that I'm not okay. That feeling of defeat. I remember the feeling of fearfulness and shame and guilt as I was feeling like I knew I had a problem. I started shooting heroin. I went home, and I probably was not home for, well over home for years at this point. I told my mom that I was shooting heroin, and she fell to her knees and she started crying. Told me, Olivia, no one can help you, you can only help yourself. At that time, I was furious. I was so upset. And at that point, I wasn't physically, mentally, emotionally able to help myself. Mom was so scared. Back out, and my life never changed, and I just went deeper and deeper into addiction. Even though I asked my mother for help and I told her about where I was in my life and where I was at and what I was doing, it still took me years to get into recovery. I had to get arrested to finally find my own recovery. There was nothing my mom could do. There was nothing any part of my family. And honestly, I do want to say from an addict's perspective, there's nothing that I could have done. There was no willpower, nothing that would have saved my life. I just feel like someone needs to hear today that being an addict isn't all fine and dandy. And from my perspective, it was a haunting feeling of knowing that I wasn't okay. Distance is probably the hardest thing that you will ever do. An addict is hard, but being the addict in that situation is extremely hard. I know from my perspective, I had a problem, but I couldn't see the problem, and I definitely didn't have the willpower to change that, even if I wanted to. I went to my mom and I told her that I was shooting heroin because I wanted to be different. And I remember after she said, Olivia, you have to help yourself, I remember I looked at my mom and I started crying at this point, and I said, Mom, I don't want to be a drug addict. Like I said, it took me years to get my recovery, and I was forced in a place long enough by myself that I realized that I didn't want to live the life I was living anymore, and the fear of the unknown became less scary than the fear of the known. So the fear of the known was so scary, the life I was living prior to my arrest, and then the unknown, recovery and things like that, became less scary once I was sitting alone in a jail cell. Just from my perspective, I guess what I'm really trying to say, an addict to finally get help, for an addict to finally seek recovery, there has to be some kind of desperation attached to it. Because I wanted it. I knew there was a problem. And I went out of my way and I sought help. But there wasn't a desperation, and I knew what path I was going down, and my mom did too, and I just went deeper and deeper. Loving an addict is going to be so hard. Loving them from a distance will be the hardest thing that you ever did. She loved me from a distance, but she called me every day. She wouldn't sleep until she heard my voice. My mom had a 16-hour rule that if I didn't respond in 16 hours, she would call hospitals, police stations, start driving around. She would start contacting people. She would do everything in her power to find me, and she told me if I would ever die, if I ever overdosed, that I wouldn't be alone for long, because she would find me. She would find my body, and she would take care of me. And it hurts to think of that kind of a reality, because It's hard to think that the only time that they can help you, help the drug addict, how my mom thought the only time that she could help me was once I was already dead. I'm blessed to be alive today. Rest saved my life. So I don't know, whatever you could get from this message, hopefully it can help you, but I just need you to understand that you're not alone, and others struggle with loving an addict too. It's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. Hope, there is strength, and sometimes you need to be that rock for the addict. If someone comes and asks you for help, a helpline down below, a suicide line, rehabilitation centers. So hopefully this message, this video will be able to help those that are a mother, being a parent, being a father, being a brother or sister of an addict. Knowing how to get help, where to get help, will save someone's life. It's hard, and I know you feel alone right now, but just know your resources and where to find them and how to get help for your loved one. So please like and share, comment down below. I do have my business email down below, so you can send me an email at any point just to talk, or if there's different topics that you would like me to cover. So I hope that somebody got something out of this message, and thank you for watching, and stay tuned until the next video.